My name is Ache, and I just want to start by saying thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoy this episode, and who knows, maybe you can relate. First and foremost, thank you so much for everyone who has shown interest in creating their own episode and hosting their own episode. I'm so grateful, and I'm just really excited to hear what everyone else has to say, what they want to share, and I just know that there's going to be so many different people out there who can relate, and I'm just really excited to see where that goes. So thank you. But let's begin. I haven't made like an actual episode in so long. I've just been so busy with school and work, but I'll get into that. You know that one elementary school teacher that everyone loved? The teacher that really pushed you to be the best you could be and motivated you all the time? The teacher that believed in you when you couldn't believe in yourself? The teacher you tell your friends about when you become an adult? The teacher you randomly think about every now and then, even though it's been over 15 years? The teacher that has been teaching at the same school for over 35 years? I feel like that teacher. But instead of students, it's people I've met in my life. Like, I'm having such great experiences with people, and then we part ways, which is fine. That's a part of life. But then they go on to do different things, and then I stay here. I stay right here where they left me. I'm that teacher that's teaching at the same school. You know, the teachers that are like, oh, you know what? I actually used to teach your mom. Yeah, you know what? I taught her in grade 5. That's me. And then you know those ones when you actually see the teacher in the grocery store years later, and you're like, "Oh my God, miss or sir, how are you? It's been so long." And they're like, "Oh my God, yeah, what have you been up to all these years?" And then you tell them about your life and how you graduated and went off to do great things, and you're thinking of starting a family, and you've traveled and you have a business and blah, blah, blah. And then you ask the teacher, "How about you?" And then they say, "Well, I'm still I'm still teaching at the same school, but none of the teachers you knew are still there. They all left. But I got a pet turtle, and just yeah, that is my life right now." I have this coworker, and we have been working together for like a year and a half ish. And every time we work together, she asks me, "Okay, so how's life? What's the update? What's new?" And every time, like clockwork, I have nothing to say. There is nothing new, and life is just fine. I mean, amen. Amen to that. I feel like my life has been at a halt for 2 years now, and it's driving me nuts. Technically 5 years, but it really started becoming a mental problem for me 2 years ago. And at first, I thought maybe I need to go out more. Then I went out more and nothing changed. Then it wasn't until recently when I realized that the small things like going out and traveling, they're not going to change anything, because after I leave an event or come back from a trip, I'm coming back to the same place. What I need is for my foundation to change, if that makes sense. A huge part of this is my work. It's embarrassing now, honestly. I hate to use that word, but it really is. I had an old coworker come in literally a few days ago, and I was so embarrassed. Like, he has moved on from this place a few years ago now, and I'm still here, right here where he left me. Oh my gosh, you know what? I also have an ex that comes into my store every once in a while, and every time he comes in, he says, "Oh." And every time I hear that, "Oh," I feel like punching a wall. I'm not even a violent person, but that oh my gosh. Because that "oh" in my head sounds like, "Oh, you still work here? Interesting. I mean, I thought, you know what, never mind." And it really hurts my ego. Like, and honestly, I don't even think it would bother me as much if I actually liked my job. But because I feel like I don't belong there, it feels almost soulless being there, just very empty and dry. I have tried to leave that place so many times, but I don't know what it is. I've just had no luck finding a new job. And it's extra hard to find a place that's part time and open to giving me full time hours, that's flexible and accommodating with my school schedule and paying me over minimum wage. Honestly, all jokes aside, where I work is a dream come true. And I'm very blessed to have this job. But I just don't belong there anymore. I can't explain it to you, man. I just don't belong there. But anyway, I say all this to say, I'm also super bored. I'm temporarily stuck in this life. And because of it, I feel so bored all the time. Like sometimes I have these crazy, silly girl urges to go and start some drama in my life and, stir the pot somewhere just so that I can have a new experience that will last longer than 3 hours. But that's not me, unfortunately. I can't do it. And deep down, I don't even want to. Drama stresses me out, but I want to really, truly, deeply feel something again. I need to. Some of you may or may not know, but I became a Christian this year. And I'm still learning a lot because I honestly didn't know much of anything in depth about Jesus. But I was listening to a lot of testimonies in the beginning, and most of the stories I would hear were pretty much the same. It starts off with a struggle, and then they plead to God for a miracle, and then they receive it. So I thought, I thought that was the blueprint on how to get what you want. I really just didn't know, but essentially I looked at God as a genie in a lamp. But I learned very quickly that that's not how that works. The year has not ended, but I have been humbled in every aspect of my life this year so far, with family, with friends, with work, with my finances, with boys. And I thought that prayer was enough, but my faith was very much so tested. And as cliche as it sounds, everything I have gone through in the past 5 years, especially the last two, has changed me so much on the inside. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was in the past few years. And although I'm very happy about this because obviously there's a lot of positives that come with change on the inside, I just haven't seen much change on the outside. And it sucks. I feel like a new person stuck in an old body. Instead of shedding my old skin, I feel like I'm shedding my organs. I know that doesn't really make sense, but it does to me. So much change and nothing but a new attitude to show for it. It can get very frustrating. I never been one to care about what other people think about me in terms of what I'm doing in my life, but lately I've had this lingering thought that comes and goes where I think, oh my gosh, I must look like a bum on the outside. A bum? Like what? And trust me, like I know that's not true, but sometimes that's what I feel. My brain, or the enemy, honestly, is tricking me into looking at my situation like it's the worst case scenario when in reality, it's not. And it's a consistent battle in my head. Like, look, okay, I'm a full-time, third-year university student. I have a car that I pay for, and I work 30 to 40 hours a week. I'm a great big sister and little sister, a loving daughter, and a kind friend. I say this because it takes a lot of effort to be these things. I have a podcast, I go to therapy, and I'm actively breaking generational curses every single day and then some. But even with all that, I can't help it. When I look at myself, all I can see is a bum. And essentially, the argument I continue to have in my head is that even though I'm in school right now, when I was in school before, I still felt like I was moving in my life. I was meeting new people, I was creating bonds, and there was always something going on in my life that made a lot of my days very exciting. And I don't know what it was back then, but every time I met someone, I got something out of it. Okay? It all started at my very first job at Forever 21 Yorkdale location back in 2016. All my coworkers were so cool, and I met so many people through them, and then I met their people, and then I met their people, and it was just like the networking was allowing me to branch out, and it was just so easy. But now it's like that branching out aspect of meeting people for me has stopped working for whatever reason. I don't know. I had one coworker, her name is Tiana, and she told me about this production company, and she connected me with them. And then with that, I ended up getting an internship there. And then after that was done, I started working there. And then because I was working there, I went on tour with them, and like I lived a whole different life. And then, being in that space opened so many doors for me in terms of meeting people. While I was working there, I met someone else named Shalisa, and then she opened so many doors for me as well. And I met a bunch of people through her as well. And then from there, I met Khadijah, and then from there, I met Jafina. And then it honestly, like, every time I met someone, I got something out of it. Like, whether it was a job, an internship, whatever the case was, like, I was just on a streak, like a domino effect where I would meet someone and then I would become, like their personal assistant or their photographer. I would just gain really cool new friends. But now everything is just so still. I meet new people and nothing happens. And I'm not used to that. And honestly, it was also a lot easier to network in the music industry, not as a musician, obviously, but as an ex-photographer in the music world. Every time I would meet someone, it was like they automatically became someone that supported me. They would introduce me to someone else that would introduce me to someone else, and so on and so forth. And honestly, just by holding the camera in my hand at an event, people would naturally gravitate towards me, and they would know I was a photographer, and it would be easy to have a conversation about it. Whereas now, I'm in a whole different space. I'm not going to walk around with a microphone in my hand, obviously. So to people on the outside, I'm not a podcaster. They wouldn't know that. To them, I'm just a girl. And honestly, I'm still having a hard time learning how to sell myself on the whole I have a podcast thing. I always feel so awkward when I bring it up in conversation. I don't know why it's so much harder for me now, but I'm probably like thinking really deeply into it, and that's why like I get anxious and shy and weird. But yeah. And oh my gosh, don't even get me started on how every day feels the damn same. I feel like I'm in a boring cycle. And every time I even try to do something outside of that cycle, I get snapped right back into the cycle like a rubber band. Free me from the shackles of stagnation, Jesus, please. If I was just sitting on my butt, not doing anything about it, I would understand, okay? I'd be like, you know what? I can do something about it. Let me do something about it. But I'm really out here trying my best with what I got. I have had waiting seasons before, okay? But this is a whole waiting chapter. I've had so many seasons pass me by, but I am still on the exact same chapter. This is a long damn chapter. And I am so ready for my story to change. And you know what? I've never even been the type to have set standards for myself, but now I'm like, damn, I'm not impressed with myself at all. And I know that they say, you're your biggest critic, and they're right. They are right. I really want the best for myself, and unfortunately, right now, the best for myself isn't my current state of being. From the outside looking in, a Che in 2020 and a Che now look the same. I look the same and I hate it because in reality, those two versions of myself are very different people. Like literally night and day. This version of myself right now is so much better on the inside, but not on the outside. I'm waiting and praying and begging and wailing and pleading and asking for my outside to finally catch up and reflect the beauty I worked so hard for and continue working hard for every day on the inside. I want to see myself and go, wow, you look like you belong here. You're truly in your element. This life is so you. I honestly cannot wait for that day to come. You know what I feel like? Have you ever had sleep paralysis where you open your eyes and because you can't move, all you want to do is scream? But when you try to scream, nothing comes out? That's what I feel like every day. Internally screaming, but unable to be heard and unable to change. You know what I also feel like? I feel like I'm a tree with long, strong roots that keep getting longer and stronger in the ground. But the tree stays the same height, same thickness, no new branches. And as a matter of fact, that tree lost some branches over the years when the seasons would change. That's what I feel like. I had a recent therapy session and my therapist told me to make a list of everything that has changed in my life in the past 5 years. And I honestly thought that I was going to make this list and I was going to have a aha moment where I'm like, oh, wow, you know what? It wasn't that bad. Life actually does look different. And you know what? I was tripping and I just didn't notice. But no, that did not happen. Quite the complete opposite, actually. I was looking through pictures to just, gauge my timeline. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost so many friends, loved ones, lovers. I lost a lot of money, like a lot. I've experienced so much rejection with work, with relationships, with family, with friends, and even with this damn podcast. And don't even get me started with the pandemic. Don't get me wrong, I've gained quite a bit. I bought a car, I became a manager, and with so much time in isolation, I gained a lot of knowledge of my life and myself. And I just got a pet turtle. And most importantly, I gained a relationship with Jesus. That one cannot be beat. Moment of vulnerability. It's not that I'm not grateful because Lord knows I am. It's just that I feel like I'm capable of doing so much more. And I feel like I should be doing more things that fuel my spirit and my soul. I want to be a part of something bigger. I'm tired of feeling so small and stuck in a box. I want more. Is that too much to ask? But I will continue to have faith even when it's hard. I will continue to pray about it even when I'm tired. I will continue to try even if I keep hitting blocks. By God's grace, I'll be 26 in December. And honestly, this age is so weird. Like 25, 26, 27, this 20s is, these later 20s are weird. Like there are people my age getting engaged and married, working big people jobs and making big people money. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing something wrong for real. Like I just keep telling myself that everyone's journey is different because that's just the truth. And honestly, I don't want my life to look like theirs. But I do want my life to feel like it's mine. I want it to feel like a life that's perfect to me. A life I'm happy with, a life I'm proud of. But it's okay because I know this is all temporary and that I will be fine. And if you can relate to what I'm saying, you'll also be fine. We got this. If you know anyone else that's been in their waiting season or chapter for a really long time, send this to them. Maybe they can relate. And then we can wait together. Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. And before you go, I want to leave you with a question and a sonnet poem I wrote for a class assignment. It's in alignment with this episode and I thought I'd share it with you. This week's question is, what do you do in seasons or chapters of stagnation? And the sonnet poem is called Forgiven by me. What more must I lose for you to bless me? How many more tears do I need to shed? I seek the kingdom as you ask of me. I seek, and yet nothing has added to me. I have lost more than what my heart can hold. Is it because I've sinned against you? I repent for forgiveness, to be cleansed. I thought things would change since I came back home, but I will continue to wait on you. I have faith this is just for a moment. You prune me for my heart to grow stronger. You make me better, though I still struggle. Mine too small to understand your greatness. Like love, you work in mysterious ways. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Remember that everything in life is temporary, and you deserve to see it through. Follow, like, share, and comment. This is Maybe You Can Relate.